Hello. Welcome back. I'm gonna start trying to do these as like a daily upload. But I basically just want to go over and talk about my analysis for NQ for the day. Um, let's see. I guess we can start off with what happened overnight, right? So when we look at what happened today in the markets, we saw a pretty strong pump at the open. And following that, we saw a pretty sharp pullback, found support pretty much to the tick here at 23,624. Pretty much after we filled the CPI candle. And let's talk about what happened today, right? So today we had CPI news pretty big in the sense that like we a lot of this market has been based off of tariffs, and then shortly coming off of that is the pause of tariffs, and then now the big talk in the market is kind of reflecting around how those tariffs have affect our inflation rates, right? Today inflation numbers came out. I actually don't know what the numbers were reported. Let me pull that up today. So we had core CPI at zero point 0.3. We had CPI month over month at zero point 0.2 at expectations. And then we had CPI year over year at 2.7, which was below analyst estimates, right? Saw a very good reaction off of that. You can see the market here pumped. I think this was like 100 points. Yeah, like a 94 point candle, which is pretty okay for how these big news candles have been. Typically, if these candles were, or if these news drops were bad, you would see or big candle up and then a complete retrace. We didn't see that today, right? Came up, came back, kind of retested the 9 EMA, kind of retested a level I had at 715, and then rebroke out and just continued going higher and higher, and then we started pulling back before market open. And then what do you know, market opens, we do kind of what we've been doing this whole week where the market has a pretty slow open and then we see the big move where we come down, retest a support level, and then pump up, come down, and then retest higher, right? And a lot of this is just break retesting, finding key support levels, and then breaking higher. And you might say if this has really been happening a lot this past week, we can even look at Monday, right? Monday opened up, it's kind of a bullish candle, hit the VWAP, came down, retested support at 2080, 23,687, came up. These were pretty darn big candles that were retracements, but the overall trend was grinding higher. Came back down, retested the level at 715, broke back above, went higher. These were the trades that I took that day. Found a hit at 23,804 before selling off, right? And I think this big sell-off was kind of a pre-reaction, anticipation to the inflation numbers being bad. And then overnight, we just kind of chopped around. We had this massive candle out of nowhere. I actually watched this candle form live, and I was just like, what in the world is going on there? But again, market overall just chopped overnight, right? And then we had our CPI candle, massive, big move up. Same thing happened here. Oh shoot. I think this was around here. I'll figure this one out. I can probably just undo that, right? Yeah. So pretty much right there. So what happened? And then today we move. I think today was a pretty good day in the sense that we saw price move. We saw reactions. We would expect reactions to happen, breaking, retesting, continuation. There was a lot of possibilities for entries, right? And on NQ, we found support here at 623. And then as we started breaking back up, we were looking for the break above 23,747, break and hold. And what do you know? This happens to be the level where we mount, we start chopping. A little kind of like liquidity grab candle, grab some orders, and then higher, came back, retested that level again, and then we just ran all-time highs. Once we ran all-time highs, we just kind of pumped up for the rest of the day. All right, market pretty much closed at high of day at new all-time highs. Overnight, I'm gonna not talk about this so much, but you can see we're kind of breaking out right now, remaking new all-time highs, and then I can see us hitting 23 or 24,000. I don't know. I hope that we kind of pull back a bit and then hit 24,000 and continue higher during the morning session tomorrow. But overall, the narrative is very bullish, right? You can see on here the Mag 7 had a very bullish day. Overall, the market sentiment is very good, right? We're seeing a lot of these tariff news, either finding tariff deals, the companies, the Max 7 really, who are working with the United States government, the ones that are making deals are kind of getting leeway in the sense of that the tariff relief is happening. So overall, very bullish, right? A lot of these stocks are pretty much trading at all-time highs or near all-time highs, and that's why the indexes are at all-time highs, right? So what am I looking for tomorrow? I see a lot of times whenever we break all-time highs, we see a retest of all previous all-time highs, and then for a move higher, right? Do I think we'll get that tomorrow? And I think that a lot of that will depend on PPI data. And CPI data came out good, so hopefully that is similar for PPI. Um, Again, these are just my thoughts. I think if PPI ends up higher, so what is for the inflation for producers? If that is, we see that higher, we might see a move down. Again, I typically notice that when CPI is in line, PPI following it usually is pretty close. Um, Am I going to trade the news candle tomorrow? Probably not. Am I going to be awake for the news candle tomorrow? Probably not. I just want to catch up on some sleep, but I will try to be awake for New York Open. So everything is pretty much looking good on the charts, right? Nvidia, you know, we had a bit of chop today. Pretty much looks very near identical to the Nasdaq. You said, big move down, broke down, and then we eventually broke up higher, consolidated, retested levels, and we didn't make all-time highs. I think we did actually. I think this was all-time highs. We're very, very close. We failed to break all-time highs. It's fine. I think as these stories kind of develop with how tariffs are going to move, Nvidia is one of the companies that basically said that they would invest in the United States government. And in return, the United States government said we're going to invest in our chip stocks, right? Right now it's the global AI race. We've seen a lot of the semiconductor companies pretty much carry the market, right? We see TSM. Let me move this to the 15-minute chart. You can see TSM. I think this is all-time highs. This might be all-time highs. So again, trading very close to all-time highs, holding strong, very bullish. Again, AVGO, Broadcom. Look at that, just clear higher highs, higher lows all around. And if I move this to the daily chart, we can actually see all the data. And yeah, look at that. We're pretty much broke all-time highs, right? Retested a key level right here, found support, and then boom, we just blasted off. A lot of these stocks, a lot of these companies, especially when you see every single major company come out and say, yes, we're investing heavily in AI, we're building strong AI data centers, Nvidia, AMD, all of these stocks that, stand to benefit from it. I guess AMD is a little more beaten down, not trading close to all-time highs, but like it can get there. And if it does get there, like these companies are just going to continue to bring the economy up, right? Call it what it is. It's just what I think. This is not financial advice. I'm just kind of, giving my 2 cents on why I think the market is so bullish right now, right? Think of the largest companies in the world where a lot of money is basically moving around, right? Everybody is saying, oh, we're investing in AI. They're breaking record profits and they're saying, we're going to reinvest in AI. We're going to reinvest in chips. We're going to reinvest in this. All these things are just adding back together because what happens when all these companies say they're pouring billions and billions and billions of dollars into Nvidia. Nvidia's balance sheet looks better. Nvidia goes up, props up the market. We really don't have that much of a, bearish catalyst, especially when the Fed is also talking about potentially lowering interest rates, right? We have to remember the Fed has two goals, right? Um, fuck. I don't know why I'm slipping on it right now, but one of them is maximum employment, and then I don't know why it's slipping. He says that Jerome Powell says that every single stream, right? Dual mandate, and one of them is maximum employment. So now eyes are on employment, right? We just had a very, very weak non-farm payroll. Where basically revised a lot of the jobs down a bunch. I think it went from like 140K to 40K again. This is just off of memory. Don't quote me on this. So if we do see cuts again, another bullish sign for the market. So all these things is just adding up. The narrative right now is so bullish. And we kind of see that in how price trades, right? We're expecting breakouts. We're getting breakouts. We're seeing key retest. Buyers are stepping in when they're supposed to. Overall, very bullish. And how is that going to affect how I trade, right? I have said this on this channel so many times that I do not like trading all-time highs, right? It's very hard to know when you're going to find resistance, when price is going to pull back, and buying at literally the highs. If you are trading prop firms like I am and you see a 20-point move backwards, it's huge, right? Depending on what type of contract size you're trading, that could be a huge hit to your drawdown. So it makes trading all-time highs so difficult, right? But that's not saying, you know, look for shorts or whatever. It's just like it just makes trading more difficult because you don't know where's a good area to find support, or you could, right? Price comes down, finds support, starts reverse and starts bouncing off of it. That might be your entry long, right? And that's probably what I'm going to look for tomorrow. I want to see, I'm going to let price play out over on London over the next 5 or so hours. And tomorrow in New York, I'm going to see kind of how the market has shaped itself, in the sense that I want to see on the lower time frames where price is bouncing, where price is rejecting. And if we open up in the middle, right, that gives us room to work with. But if we open up at all-time highs, right, that's going to be so difficult to trade, because it's like you could just rock it up, or we could have a lot of people start selling, right? If I say this to some of my friends that I'm trying to help them learn how to trade, it's like, when you're in a long position, the only way to get out of that long position is to sell. And if you don't sell, you kind of see these like slow chops because everybody's just buying, but buyers are just, they're a lot of times when you see moves up, it's slower and it's a little more choppy, right? When you see a lot of people panic selling, price drops down really fast. But when people are euphoric buying, it's still a little choppy. It's not super clean moves. Today we had pretty clean moves, but we'll see some chop, right? And that's exactly where we expected chop to happen, as we started mounting this level. But overall, yeah, that's going to be my game plan going in tomorrow. If you guys don't know how I trade, I like looking for the 15-minute ORB. If we can get an ORB breakout, and then say that's a 15 orb is within levels, right? Say we break out, maybe it's 23,962. We break out, retest it, and if it's the orb is there, and we start moving, bouncing off of, finding support there, that might be good indications for me to take longs. But again, I'm a little more cautious when it comes to all-time highs, and for good reason, right? You never know when people are going to take profits and start selling off their positions that they've been holding for X long, X years, X however, right? And all those moves will impact the market. So yeah, those are my 2 cents going in. That's kind of my TA going into tomorrow's trading session. Again, oh, actually, I don't even think PPI is tomorrow. I think PPI is on Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, we have no news tomorrow, except Trump speaking at 8 in the morning, and then PPI is on Thursday. So kind of weird how they broke that up. But yeah, look at that. Look at this random candle out of nowhere, 10 points, right? And 10 points during London session is pretty significant, right? So it's like, yeah. But yeah, those are my 2 cents going in tomorrow. I have a Discord where I share my levels every morning that I am actively trading. So if you guys want to see those levels, feel free to join. Link is always down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.